Good evening and welcome back to the Velvet Hour. You have made it through another long day, and now there is nothing left for you to do but let it go, one small weight at a time, until your shoulders are soft and your breathing is slow and the room around you has begun to feel very far away. I am here, as I am here every night, to take you somewhere quieter than the place you have been living in, and tonight I am going to take you into a wood. It is a very old wood, older than anyone you have ever met, older than the language you think in, and it has been asleep for longer than anyone living can remember. You do not need to do anything to come with me. You only need to keep breathing the way you are breathing now, a little slower with each breath, and let the warmth of the blankets hold you the way warm water holds a body that has finally stopped swimming and decided to float. So let us cross over together. There is a threshold between the world you live in and the world I keep, and it is the thinnest thing there is, thinner than a sheet, thinner than the moment between one thought and the next, and you're already so close to it that all you have to do is lean. Lean now, gently, the way you lean into a pillow that has been waiting for your head all day, and feel the room you are lying in begin to loosen its hold on you. The walls soften, the ceiling drifts upward and away, and in its place there comes the smell of green things and old wood and warm earth, the smell of a forest in the last hour before the light goes, and you find that you are standing at the edge of the trees with no memory of having walked there and no wish to walk back. The wood begins just ahead of you, and the first thing you notice about it is the silence, though silence is not quite the right word for it, because the wood is not empty of sound so much as it is full of a sound so soft and so even that your ears stop trying to hold it and simply rest inside it. It is the sound a forest makes when nothing in it is in a hurry, the hush of countless leaves that have agreed to be still, the low breathing of moss, the slow settling of dust through bars of fading gold light. You take one step in, and then another, and the moss receives your weight so gently that you can hardly feel the ground, and the trees close around behind you without alarm, the way a warm crowd of strangers makes room and then forgets you are there. Here, time does not move the way it moves in the world you came from. In your world, time runs like a river, always pulling, always taking the day downstream away from you before you have finished with it, and you spend so much of your life wading against that current that you have forgotten there is any other way for time to behave. But in this wood, time does not run at all. It pools, it gathers in the low places between the roots, and lies there, deep and still and clear, and the longer you stand among the trees, the more you feel that stillness rising around your ankles and your knees and your chest, a warm and weightless tide of unhurried hours, and the more it rises, the less it matters to you that anything should ever happen again. There is dust in the air, lifted long ago by some movement no one remembers, and it hangs in the light without falling, each mote a tiny golden star, suspended in amber, and you understand, watching it, that here a thing can begin to fall and simply choose not to finish. The light is leaving slowly, far more slowly than light has any right to leave, as though the sun itself has lain down somewhere beyond the trees, and is in no rush to rise or set or do anything at all but glow. It comes through the canopy in long, soft shafts, the colour of honey and old brass, and where it touches the forest floor, it warms the moss and the ferns, and the pale, fallen petals of flowers you cannot name, and where it does not reach the shadows, are not cold or fearful, but blue and deep and soft, the shadows of a room where someone is sleeping, and has been sleeping a long time, and is perfectly safe. You move from light into shadow, and back light, and each time the warmth touches your skin, you feel a little more of the day you left behind dissolve until you can no longer quite remember what it was that had seemed so urgent, what it was you had been carrying, what it was you had thought you could not put down. You walk on, deeper than you mean to, because the wood makes walking feel less like effort and more like drifting. And as you go, you begin to notice that the trees themselves are old beyond ordinary age. Their trunks are broad and patient, their bark furrowed deep, and many of them lean together overhead with the tired tenderness of very old friends who no longer need to speak. Ivy climbs them in slow green rivers. Flowers grow in the high crooks of their branches, white and heavy and sweet, and their scent drifts down to you in warm layers, and you breathe it in and feel it loosen something behind your ribs that has been clenched for so long you had stopped noticing it was clenched at all. Let it loosen now. There is nothing here that requires you to hold anything tight. The wood has been holding everything within it gently for 100 years, and it can hold you too, easily, the way it holds the dust and the light and the deep blue shadows, without effort, without end. And it is then, just as the last of the gold begins to thin into the first dim silver of evening, that you see the thread. It is so faint at first that you are not sure your eyes have found anything at all. It lies low among the trees ahead of you, a single fine line of pale light, paler than moonlight, the soft cool silver of a spider's silk catching what little glow remains, and it runs away from where you stand and on between the trunks and deeper into the heart of the wood than you can see. You did not notice it appear. It is simply there, as though it had always been there and had only now decided to let you find it. And though it makes no sound and does no thing, you feel, looking at it, the gentlest possible pull, a sense not of being commanded but of being invited, a sense that the thread leads somewhere, and that the somewhere it leads to is a place where you are quietly, patiently expected. You take a step toward it, and the thread seems to brighten, just slightly, just enough, and you feel the warmth of the wood gather a little closer at your back, urging you on without any urgency at all. Somewhere far ahead, deeper than the deepest shadow, you have the sudden soft certainty that something lies at the very centre of all this stillness. Something or someone, held in the same suspended hush that holds the falling dust, breathing slowly, dreaming long, waiting through all the 100 quiet years for the thread to be followed at last. You cannot see it yet. You cannot even be sure it is real. But the thread is real. The pull is real. And the wish to follow has already begun to grow in you, warm and slow and certain, like the wish for sleep itself. So let it grow. You do not have to follow it tonight. We have all the time there is, you and I, and the wood will keep its centre safe and warm and waiting for as long as we like. For now it is enough to stand here at the beginning of the path, with the silver thread glowing softly at your feet, and the warm dark wood breathing all around you, and to feel how good it is to be somewhere where nothing is asked of you, where time has pooled and gone still, where the only thing left in all the world to do is rest. Breathe in the scent of the white flowers. Feel the warmth still rising in you like a tide. And as you stand there, let the thread settle into your mind like a single quiet thought you can return to, a single fine line of silver leading inward, leading downward, leading you gently towards sleep. Tomorrow night we will follow it together, you and I, in through the briar and the hush, toward the one who has been waiting in the heart of the wood all this long, slow, dreaming while. For now, rest here at the threshold and let the silver thread tighten ever so softly around the quiet edges of your sleep. And as you follow the thread deeper, the wood begins to show you what it is made of and how it came to sleep, though it will tell you nothing aloud, for this is a wood without words, and everything it knows it keeps in the things it has left lying about. The thread leads you on between the trees, and the trees thin a little, and through the thinning you begin to make out shapes that are not trees at all, shapes too square and too still, and as you draw near you see that they are the first low stones of a wall, mossed and tilted and half swallowed by the green, and that beyond the wall there once stood something built by human hands. The wall runs alongside the thread for a while, leading you, guiding you, and then it gives way to a gate, an old iron gate grown thick with briar, and the briar is the heaviest you have seen, dark and coiled and dense, its thorns long and its blossoms white, and it has grown over the gate so completely that no one could have passed for a very long time. You stand before the briar gate, and you feel no fear of it, only a deep and tender curiosity, because there is nothing menacing in the way it grows. It does not bristle. It does not warn. It has the look of something that grew not to keep the world out, but to keep something precious safe and sleeping while the years went by. The way a blanket pulled up over a sleeping child is not a wall but a kindness, and as you look at it, the briar stirs. It moves without wind, slowly, almost shyly, and the coiled branches draw back from the centre of the gate, and the thorns turn their points aside, and an opening appears, just wide enough for you, as though the wood had been waiting all this while for someone to come who meant the sleeper no harm. The silver thread runs straight through the opening and on into the grounds beyond, and you step through after it, and the briar settles softly close behind you, and you are inside. Within the walls lies a place that was once full of life, and is now full only of sleep. There are gardens gone soft and wild, their hedges blurred, their fountains stilled to dark green mirrors, their roses blooming on and on with no one to cut them, so that the air is thick and sweet with 100 years of unpicked flowers. There are wide stone paths half buried under fallen petals, drifts of them, soft as snow and warm as skin, and where the thread crosses them, it shines all the brighter against the pale. And there, beyond the gardens, rises the house itself, or the palace, for it is far too grand to be only a house, with its high windows dim, and its towers wrapped in ivy, and its great doors standing open just a little, just enough, with the thread sliding through the gap, like water, finding its level. Everywhere you look, there is the evidence of a life suddenly and gently paused, and nowhere is there the smallest sign of struggle or grief, only the deep impression of a held breath, a single great inhalation that the whole place took long ago and has not yet let out. You move towards the doors, and as you go, you begin to find the sleepers. They are everywhere, and the first of them stops your heart with tenderness rather than fear. A gardener has lain down among his roses, with his head pillowed on his folded arms, and he is sleeping, his chest rising and falling so slowly that you must watch a long moment to be sure it moves at all. Nearby, a woman sits on the lip of the silent fountain with her sewing fallen into her lap, and her head tipped gently back, and she too is sleeping, her face smoothed of every care, more beautiful in her rest than she could ever have known. A child lies curled on the warm stone of the path, with one hand open and a fallen petal resting in the palm. And as you pass among them, you understand that the wood did not take their lives, it only took their waking, and that all of them, everyone, somewhere far below the surface of their stillness, safe and warm and held. Here, for the first time, you feel the thing I promised would come, the soft warmth that runs beneath this whole tale like an underground stream. It is nothing you could name, and nothing you could point to. It is only the strange and tender beauty of sleeping bodies, the way rest undoes the guardedness of a face and leaves it open, the way a sleeping person seems to offer themselves to the watching world without knowing it, defenceless and lovely and entirely at peace. You feel it looking at the woman by the fountain, with her throat bared to the dimming light, and at the gardener, with his strong arms loose and his breathing deep, and you feel something in yourself lean toward all that warm, unguarded stillness, the way a cold hand leans toward a fire. There is no urgency in the feeling. It is slow and low and sweet, and it draws you on through the open doors and into the great hall beyond, where the thread runs glimmering across a floor of pale stone toward a wide and shadowed stair. The hall is vast and dim and full of the same suspended hush, and here too the sleepers lie where the 100-year breath caught them. A steward slumped peacefully in a tall chair, a pair of servants resting against one another on a bench as though they had simply leaned together for warmth and never leaned apart. A great hound, asleep across the foot of the stair, with its head on its paws, its ears soft, its flank rising and falling in the same slow rhythm as everything else. You step over the sleeping hound, and it does not stir, and you set your foot on the first stair, and the thread climbs ahead of you, winding upward into the dimness, drawing you toward the towers where the highest windows are. And somewhere above you now, much nearer than before, you feel the centre of the wood waiting, the heart of all this sleep, the one toward whom every thread and every petal and every long, slow breath has been pointing since the very first step you took beneath the trees. You come to stand before it, with that warm glow on your face and that soft certainty in your chest, and though you cannot yet see what lies beyond, you know, with a certainty that warms you all the way through, that the one who has been waiting all this while is just there, just on the other side of that pale door, very near now, breathing slow. And so, gently you reach for the door. The door gives way before your hand without a sound, swinging slow and smooth on hinges that have forgotten how to creak, and the warm glow widens and spills over you, and you step into a room unlike any other in all that sleeping house. It is a high round chamber at the top of the tower, and its tall windows are hung with sheer pale curtains that breathe gently, though there is no wind, drifting in and out as if the room itself was softly breathing. The light here does not come from any candle or lamp. It seems to rise from the very air, a low, warm radiance the colour of skin in firelight, and it gathers most thickly toward the centre of the room, where a great bed stands draped in fabric so fine it floats. And there, upon the bed, among the drifting pale folds, lies the sleeper, and the moment you see her, every other thought you have been carrying goes quiet and still. She lies on her back with one arm curved above her head, and the other resting open across the soft slope of her body, and she is so deeply asleep, so utterly given over to her rest, that for a long moment you only stand and watch the slow rise and fall of her breathing, the gentle swell and settle of it, the way it lifts the fine fabric over her and lets it sink again, over and over, in a rhythm so unhurried that your own breath slows without your asking it to, until the two of you are breathing as one. Her dark hair has spread across the pillow in long loose waves, light moves in it. Her face is turned a little towards you, smoothed by 100 years of dreaming into a peace so complete it is almost unbearable to look upon. The lips slightly parted, the lashes dark against the cheek, the throat long and soft and bare. She is the most beautiful sleeping thing you've ever seen, and her beauty is not the sharp kind that keeps you at a distance, but the warm kind that draws you in. The loveliness of someone entirely unguarded, entirely at rest, entirely unaware of being seen. You move closer, slowly, the way you would move toward anything you did not wish to wake too soon, and the nearer you come, the more the warmth of her reaches you. It is a real warmth, the warmth of a living body deep in sleep, and it touches your face and your hands as you near the bed, and with it comes the faint sweet scent of her, of warm skin and the white flowers of the wood, and you feel that low, slow stream of tenderness rise in you again, stronger now, sweeter now, an ache that is not quite longing and not quite grief, but something gentler than either, the simple deep wish to be near a sleeping body that is beautiful and warm and at peace. You do not reach for her, you only stand at the edge of the bed and let yourself be near. Let your eyes follow the long line of her, the curve of her arm above her head, the soft fall of fabric, the slow, steady tide of her breathing, and you let the nearness be enough, because it is enough, because there is a pleasure in nearness alone that the hurrying world had made you forget, and the wood is patiently teaching it back to you now. And as you stand there, watching her breathe, you begin to understand something about her sleep, something the wood has been trying to show you since the very first step beneath the trees. She is not merely asleep, she is dreaming deeply and continuously, and her dream is not a small thing happening behind her eyes, but a vast thing, a whole world layered down and down beneath her stillness, like the still water pooled between the roots of the trees, and she has been falling through those layers for 100 years, deeper and deeper into the heart of her own sleep, so far down now that she has half forgotten the surface and the waking world above it. You can feel it as you stand near her, the great slow weight of the dream she is held in, the depth of it, and you understand that she cannot simply be called back. A voice would not reach her, a touch would not reach her. To wake her, you would have to go down to where she is, layer by layer, into the dream itself, and find her there, in the deepest place, and lead her gently up. That is the secret of the sleeping wood, and it is the secret of all true waking, which is never a single bright moment, but a long, slow return through the soft, dark country of sleep, layer rising into layer, dream giving way to dream, until at last the surface is reached, and the eyes open, and the world comes back. You know it now, the way you know your own breathing. And you know too, that the silver thread that led you here, through all the hush and the briar and the warm sleeping house, does not end at the edge of her bed. It runs on. It runs from where you stand to where she lies, and it slips beneath her, into her, down into the deep place where she is dreaming. And if you wish to follow her down, if you wish to go to her in the heart of her sleep, the thread is there to lead you, fine and silver and unbreaking, all the long way down and all the long way back. So lean close now, closer than you have yet leaned, until the warmth of her is the warmth on your own face, and the slow tide of her breathing is the only sound in all the world. Let your eyes grow heavy as you watch her. Let the boundary between watching her sleep and entering her sleep begin to soften and blur, the way the curtains blur as they drift across the warm light, the way your own thoughts are blurring slow and soft and golden. The thread lies waiting beneath her, silver and sure. The dream lies waiting beneath the thread, vast and warm and deep. And you're so close now, so warm, so heavy, so near to her, and so near to sleep yourself, that all it takes to follow her down is to let go of the last thin edge of waking. So you let it go, and you let yourself fall gently the way you're already falling, down toward her warmth, down the silver thread, into the first soft layer of her endless dream. The falling is not frightening. It is the opposite of frightening. It is the most natural thing in the world, the very thing your body does each night when you finally stop fighting it. That long, slow tilt and slide out of the lit room and down into the dark, warm water of sleep. And you do it now without effort, following the thread down through a soft golden dimness that thickens and then thins, and when it thins again, you find that you are no longer in the tower at all. You are standing in the wood, and yet it is not the wood you knew. It is the wood as it must have been before the 100-year sleep, before the briar and the hush, the wood alive and full of light, with the sun high and warm, and moving freely through the leaves, with bird song falling soft from the high branches, with a warm wind that smells of summer and cut grass and the same white flowers, but fresher now, newly opened, sweet. This is the first layer of her dream, the wood as she remembers it, the wood as it was when she was awake, and the dream has dressed it in the gold of a perfect afternoon and laid it out around you like a memory you are being allowed to walk inside. You walk, and the dream walks with you, and soon you become aware that you are not alone in it. Somewhere ahead among the warm green light a figure moves, and you know without being told that it is her, the sleeper, but not as you found her, not still and silent on the bed, but awake here in the country of her own remembering, young and bright and unafraid, moving through the summer wood as though she belonged to it. You follow her, and the dream lets you draw near, and the nearer you come, the more you feel yourself slipping into a strange and lovely double state. For at moments you are simply watching her move ahead of you through the trees, and at other moments you seem to be moving as her, feeling the warm grass beneath bare feet that are hers and yours at once, feeling the sun on a face that is hers and yours, so that you do not know whether you are a dreamer or her dream, and it does not matter, because both are warm, and both are sweet, and both draw you deeper in. And then, in a clearing full of slanting gold light, you find that she is not alone either. There is another figure there, waiting among the long grass, indistinct at first, a warmth and a presence more than a face, and as she comes into the clearing, the two of them turn toward one another with the slow inevitability of water finding water, and you feel the air of the dream grow thick and warm and charged. This is the heart of the first layer, the memory she returns to over and over in her long sleep, the memory of being wanted and of wanting in return, and you feel it move through her and through you as the two figures begin, slowly, to circle one another in the gold. There is a gravity between them, the old sweet gravity of bodies that have decided they would like to be nearer, and the dream slows to savour it, the way you might slow a warm bath, unwilling for it to end. They circle, and the distance between them narrows by inches, and the warmth of the wanting fills the clearing like honey filling a comb. You feel it all from within her, the quickening warmth low in the body, the way the breath shortens and the skin grows newly awake, the way the whole self leans toward the other across the closing space. And yet, the dream, being a dream, her longing, the thing she has carried down through 100 years of sleep, the wish to close that final inch, the wanting held forever at the very edge of its fulfillment, warm and aching and unresolved, and you understand it because you're feeling it now in your own slow, heavy body, the lovely ache of nearness, the warmth of a wanting that does not need to be answered to be sweet. But a dream remembered is not the same as a dream lived, and even as the warmth fills the clearing, you begin to feel the softness at the edges of it, the faint blur that tells you this is not real, and was real only once, long ago before the sleep. The cold light, which seemed so steady, has begun very slowly to dim. The warm figure she leans toward has begun, very slightly, to lose its edges, to grow indistinct, to become more memory than presence. The birdsong thins, the summer wind drops, and you feel beneath the warmth of the clearing the first cool pull of something deeper, the sense that this layer of the dream is only the topmost layer, the sunlit surface of a sleep that goes down and down far beneath it, and that she is not truly here, in the cold and the summer, but far below, held in some deeper place where the dream is older and stranger and harder to reach. The thread is still with you. It runs through the clearing and on past the fading figures and into the darkening trees beyond, and it dips downward, leading away from the warm cold memory and into the cooler dimness below it, and you feel the gentle, inevitable tug of it, the invitation to go deeper, to follow her past the surface of her remembering and down toward the place where she truly sleeps. The clearing dims further. The summer folds itself softly away, the gold thinning to amber, the amber to a deep warm dusk, and the warmth of the almost touching lingers on your skin, even as the dream that held it dissolves around you, the way the warmth of a body lingers in a bed after the body has risen. You do not resist the sinking. There is nothing in you that wishes to. You let the first layer fold away above you like a closing flower, and you let the thread draw you down, slow and sure, toward the deeper dream below. And as you go, the last of the cold light gathers itself into a single warm point far above you, and then is gone, and you are sinking through the soft, warm darkness, following her down with the sweet ache of the almost touch still glowing low and warm within you, down past the warm cold surface of her remembering, down the silver thread toward the deeper dream, the older dream, the one beneath the one. The darkness thins, as it did before, but what it thins into now is stranger and slower than the cold clearing was. You find yourself in the wood again, for the wood is the shape all her dreaming takes. But this is the wood, as the heart knows it in the deep of sleep, not remembered now, but felt, a wood made less of trees than of the feeling of trees, vast and dim and close, lit by no sun, but by a low blue glow that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, the light that lives behind closed eyes. Here the trees lean nearer than any real trees would, and between them grows the briar, the same dark, coiling briar that wrapped the iron gate, but here it grows everywhere, threading the dimness in long, dark loops, soft and slow and patient, and you understand at once, and without words, that this is the true shape of what holds her, that the briar of the waking world was only the outward sign of this inner briar, the deep, dark thing that has wound itself around her sleeping self and kept her down here all these years. You move through it slowly, following the thread, and the briar parts before you as it parted at the gate, drawing back its thorns, making you a way, for it knows, as the wood knew, that you have not come to harm her. And as you go deeper into the blue, dim wood, you begin to feel her more strongly than you have yet felt her. Not the warm, bright girl of the summer memory, but the true sleeper, the deep self, and what you feel coming off her through the dark is loneliness. A loneliness so vast and so old and so gentle that it brings a warm ache to your throat. 100 years is a very long time to dream alone. However sweet the goal clearing was, she has been falling away from it for a century, down into this deeper dark, and the longer she has fallen, the more alone she has been, wanting to be found, wanting to be reached, wanting, in the deep, wordless way of sleep, simply not to be the only warm thing in all that dim blue wood. And you feel that wanting answers something in yourself, some loneliness of your own that you carried in with you from the waking world, and the two lonelinesses lean toward one another across the dark, and the leaning is the sweetest and the saddest thing you have yet felt in all the wood. Deeper still, and the thread leads you at last to her. She is here in the deep dream, but she is not lying still and serene as she lay upon the bed. Here she is bound. The dark briar has wound itself all about her, soft and close, looping her wrists above her head and crossing her body and holding her, gently but completely, in the warm blue dark, and she lies within its coils, as if asleep within sleep, her breathing slow, her face turned towards you, her eyes closed, more beautiful here in her binding than even she was upon the bed, because here you can feel as well as see her, feel the warmth of her held in the dark, feel the long ache of her wanting to be loosed. The briar does not hurt her, it cradles her, but it holds her, and it has held her 100 years, and you understand that this is the knot of the whole matter, that to wake her you must loosen what the dark has wound about her, and that you can't do it by force, because force would only draw the briar tighter, the way a snare draws tighter on the thing that struggles. So you do not pull at it. You come near to her instead, near as you came near upon the bed, near enough to feel her warmth and her breath, and the briar lets you near, for it feels in you no wish to take her, only the wish to free her, and there is all the difference in the world between those two. You follow the silver thread with your eyes, and you see now where it goes, for it runs in among the coils of the dark briar, and gathers at the very centre of her in a single soft knot, the knot that holds all the rest, the heart of the binding, the place where her long sleep is tied, and you understand, looking at it, that to loosen that knot, you cannot simply work it free with your hands. The knot is made of her longing, of 100 years of wanting and not being answered, and the only thing that can loosen a knot made of wanting is for the wanting, at last, to be met. The ache in you rises to meet the ache in her. You lean nearer, and the warmth between you thickens the way the warmth thickened in the cold clearing. But here there is no remembered figure to draw her eye away. Here it is only the two of you in the deep blue dark, the bound sleeper and the one who has come all the long way down the thread to find her, and the nearness now is almost more than the warm air can hold. You feel the heat of her against your skin, the slow tide of her breathing, the silver thread glowing soft between you, the dark briar holding her and waiting, and you feel that you are very close now to the thing that will loosen her, that one more leaning, one more closing of the warm space between will reach the knot at last. The soft knot glows silver between your two warm bodies. The dark briar waits all around, and so, slowly, with nothing left in all the world but the warm dark and her warmth within it, and the soft glow of the thread, you lean the rest of the way in. The closing of that final inch is the gentlest thing. There is no rush in it, and no force. once, and yet so slowly you can feel each moment of it. And in that meeting, the knot begins to loosen. You feel it give, the first soft yielding of the silver heart of the binding, as the long-held wanting in her is met at last by the wanting in you, the two of them flowing together and around one another, warm and slow and answering, so that what was an ache becomes a warmth, and what was a longing becomes a being held. The Briar feels it too. The dark coils that have cradled her so long begin, one by one, to soften, to slacken, to draw their thorns away and unwind their loops, releasing her wrists from above her head, releasing the warm slope of her body, falling away into the dim blue dark like dark water draining from a warm room. This is the warmest part of all the long descent, and it is warm the way a banked fire is warm, rather than the way a blaze is, deep and low and steady and entirely safe. You are aware of her warmth all along the length of you, of the slow tide of her breathing, now matched to your own so closely that you cannot tell whose breath is whose, of the soft give of the dark, releasing her into your nearness, and the warmth rises in you both, slow and golden, a tide coming in over warm sand, higher and higher, sweeter and sweeter, and you let it rise without reaching for any far shore, because the tide itself is the whole of it. The rising is the whole of it, and there is nowhere it needs to go but on, and gently on. There is no single bright moment that the warmth is climbing toward. There is only the climbing, the warm, slow swell of being met and meeting, of holding and being held, and you let it carry you the way the wood has taught you to let things carry you, without grasping, without hurry, simply floating on the rising warmth as it gathers and lifts and spreads through every soft, heavy limb. And then, at the height of it, the warmth does not break. It turns. The way a wave that has risen as far as a wave can rise does not crash here in the deep dream, but only softens at its crest and curls over into something gentler. The tide of warmth between you reaches its full height and then, instead of breaking, settles, spreading itself out long and low and golden across the warm dark, easing from a rising into a resting, from a wanting into a having, from an ache into the deep, slow contentment of two warmths twined together with nothing left between them to want. The knot is loosed, the last silver loop of it falls open and away, and where it was, there is only warmth, only the soft glow of the thread running unbroken now from her to you and from you to her, no longer a binding but a bond, no longer a thing that holds her down, but a thing that ties the two of you gently together for the long, slow journey back up. The Briar is gone from around her. She lies free in the warm blue dark, twined warm against your warmth, and her breathing has changed. It is no longer the deep, unmoving breath of the 100-year sleep. It is lightened, just slightly, just enough. The way breath lightens in the last hour before waking, when the sleeper begins, far below, to feel the first faint pull of the surface and the morning. You feel it against you, that lightening, that first soft stirring of her toward the world, and you feel too that the deep blue dark around you both has begun, very faintly, to warm. The cold blue glow of the deepest dream warming by the smallest degree toward cold, as though somewhere very far above, a sun the dream had forgotten has begun, slowly, to think of rising. You do not move yet. There is no need to move yet, and every need to rest. The hardest and the deepest work is done, the going down and the finding and the loosening, and what remains is only the rising, the long, glowing soft and unbroken between you, and you let the after warmth of the loosening spread through you, low and golden and complete. The deep contentment of a long ache finally answered, a long longing finally met, a long sleep finally beginning far below to turn toward morning. Her breath lightens against you. The dark warms by the smallest degree, and the silver thread, patient and gentle, and in no hurry at all, begins softly to draw the two of you up. The rising is unlike the falling, slower and softer and warmer. The falling has a little fear in it always, the small clench of letting go, but rising toward waking from a good deep sleep has no fear in it at all, only ease, only the warm unhurried lift of a body floating up through warm water toward a light it is in no rush to reach. You feel the deep blue dark begin to thin around you, and as it thins it warms, the blue giving way to the deep warm amber of the layer above, and you rise into it twined still with her, the two of you carried up together on the slow silver thread, and as you pass into the warmer dimness, you feel the wood around you stir very faintly, the way a sleeper stirs at the first far sound of morning, not waking yet, but no longer sunk so far from waking as before. And as you rise, the wood begins to come back to life around you, gently, a little at a time, and it is the loveliest thing to feel. In the deep dream, nothing moved at all. Now, in the warmer layer, you begin to feel small movements returning, a soft drift of warm air that was not there before, the faint fast stir of a leaf, the sense of the long held breath of the whole sleeping place beginning, at last, to be let out. You rise higher, and the amber warms toward gold, and you pass back up through the layer of the summer memory, the gold clearing where the almost touch once hung in the warm air. But it is changed now, for the wanting that filled it has been answered in the deep, and where there was once an aching nearness, there is now only a warm and settled glow. The contentment of a thing that no longer needs to reach, because it has already, in the depths, been met. You drift through the gold clearing twined with her, and you feel her warmth and her lightening breath, and you feel no ache now, only the deep, slow after warmth. The peace that comes after longing has been laid to rest. Higher still, and the gold thins toward the soft, warm light of the tower chamber, and you begin to feel, far above and all around, the great sleeping house itself beginning to wake along with her. For her sleep was the heart of its sleep, and as she rises toward morning, the 100-year hush begins, everywhere, gently, to break. You feel it the way you would feel warmth spreading through a cold room, a slow returning of life moving outward from the tower through all the sleeping place. Far below in the great hall, the dust that hung unfalling for a century begins, at last, the slow soft work of settling to the floor. The pale curtains at the tall windows, which only breathed before, begin to drift on a wind that is truly a wind now, carrying in the fresh green smell of a wood remembering how to be awake. The light, which lay so long unmoving, begins to move, the warm low glow of the chamber shifting and brightening by the smallest degrees toward the clear gold of a true and rising morning. And out in the warm sleeping house you feel the sleepers stir, the gardener among his roses lifting his head, the woman by the fountain taking a deeper breath, the great hound at the foot of the stair twitching one soft ear, all of them turning, slowly, dreamily, like flowers turning toward the sun they had forgotten, back toward the waking world. You rise the last of the way twined still with her, and the warm light of yourself settling, gently, back toward the surface of the great bed, back toward the room where you first found her sleeping, back toward the threshold of waking itself. Her warmth is against you still, her breath light and quick now with the nearness of morning, the silver thread glowing soft and unbroken from her heart to yours, and you understand that the long descent is over, that you have gone all the way down into the heart of her sleep, and loosed what bound her there, and brought her, at last, all the long warm way back up. There is only one layer left now, only the thinnest veil of sleep between her and the waking world, the same thin veil that lies between you and your own waking every single morning, the last soft film of dream that a single breath of light can lift. And as you settle there, on the very edge of waking, with her warm and light and stirring against you, you feel her begin at last to surface. The slow, deep breathing of the 100-year sleep has become the soft, quick breathing of a sleeper about to wake. Beneath their closed lids, her eyes have begun, faintly, to move. Her fingers, so long held above her head in the dark briar, curl and uncurl, slow and dreamy, against the warmth of you. Her warmth is against you, her breath quick and light, the unbroken thread glowing soft between you, the whole sleeping house breathing back to life all around you, and the thin last veil of dream grows thinner and thinner still, lit from beyond by the gold of a true morning, until, at last, in that warm held moment that every waking turns upon, it is ready to lift. It lifts the way mist lifts from warm water in the first light of a morning, slowly, evenly, without any seam or shock, the gold of the true day strengthening through it until the dream and the waking world are for one long warm moment the very same gold, and then, softly, her eyes open. There is no start in it, no gasp, none of the violence the old tellings always wanted to put into a waking, for a true waking after a long good sleep is the gentlest thing there is, only a slow lifting of the lashes, a slow returning of the light to eyes that have dreamed 100 years, a slow warm recognition of the morning and the chamber, and the warmth twined close against her own. She wakes the way you yourself will wake when all of this is over, easily, warmly, surfacing without effort into a world made soft and cold around her, and the first thing her waking eyes find is you, near as you have been all along, warm as you have been all along, the one who came down the long silver thread to find her in the dark and loose what bound her and carry her gently up. And there is no need for anything to be said, for there has never been a single word in all this wood, and there is no want of one now, only the warm long look between two people who have already, in the depths, met, and all around the tower, as she wakes, the wood wakes with her, for her sleep was its sleep, and her waking is its waking. The 100-year breath that the whole place has held so long is let out at last, everywhere, all at once, gently, an exhalation you can feel move outward through the warm house, like a sigh of pure relief. Far below in the great hall, the dust finishes its long settling, and the floor catches the new light. The pale curtains lift fully on the morning wind. Out in the gardens, the gardener rises from among his roses, and stands blinking in the gold, and the woman by the fountain lifts her fallen sewing with wondering hands, and the child on the warm path opens its fingers and lets the long-held petal drift away, and the great hound at the foot of the stair gets slowly to its feet and shakes itself and yawns. The briar at the iron gate, which guarded the long sleep so faithfully, loosens its dark coils ground softens its thorns and sinks back into the green, its work at last complete, and the whole wood, which had slowed almost to stillness, which had pooled all its time in the low warm places and gone quiet beneath the falling dust, begins slowly, sweetly, to move again, the light flowing, the leaves stirring, the time that had pooled so long, beginning gently to flow. You feel all of it from where you lie in the warm gold chamber, the whole sleeping country coming back to life around the two of you, and you feel the deep, slow contentment of a thing brought to its true and gentle end. The long ache answered, the long sleep ended, the lonely deep dark of the deepest dream forever behind her now. And here, where the old tellings would close the book and call it done, I draw you gently back, for the velvet hour does not end with a single waking, and the silver thread which led you all this way does not end here either. Feel for it now, the way you have felt for it every night, the fine cool line of silver running from her warm heart to yours. It is unbroken still, and as the wood wakes around you, it does not fade or fall slack. It tightens softly and turns and leads away, out of the warm gold chamber and down the long stair and through the waking house and out past the loosened Briar gate, out of the wood entirely and away into the soft dark beyond, where it runs on towards something new. Follow it now with your slow, heavy mind as I draw you up and out of the sleeping wood for the last time, back across the thinnest threshold toward your own warm bed and your own waiting sleep. The thread runs out of the trees and over dark country, and far ahead where it leads, you begin to make out the dim shape of a great palace standing alone in the night, and every window of it is dark. There is no light in any room, there is no lamp in any hall, and yet within that lightless palace the thread tells you another woman waits, warm and wakeful in the perfect dark, waiting each night for a lover she is permitted to feel and to be near, but never, ever to see. A lover who comes to her only when every lamp is out and leaves before the first grey touch of dawn. She does not know his face, she has never seen his form. She knows him only by his warmth and his nearness in the dark, and the not knowing has begun, slowly, to become a longing of its own, a wish to light a single flame and look, just once, upon the one who loves her in the dark. The thread runs straight to her, into the lightless palace, toward that warm, forbidden dark, and the small bright flame she is beginning to long to light, and the question of what that flame will show her is the question I will leave glowing softly in your mind tonight as you drift the last of the way down into sleep. For now, the sleeping wood is awake and warm and well. The sleeper is found and freed, and you have come all the long silver way down and back again, and there is nothing left for you to do but rest. So, rest. Let the wood and the tower and the gold morning fade gently behind you. Let the thread lie quiet in your mind, leading on toward the lightless palace and the woman waiting in the dark for the lover she has never seen, and let yourself sink the rest of the way into your own warm sleep, knowing that tomorrow night, when you return to the velvet hour, I will be here waiting